to our Goglow Hub tutorial, and we have been working on numbers. We started with numbers some time ago, and today we'll be talking about the number properties. The last topic we had was on the number methods. Okay, number methods, telling us what we can do with numbers. Here we are talking about number properties, things about numbers. And after this is the last topic on numbers. We'll be going into a very interesting topic called arrays. Arrays is a very interesting topic we'll be going into. Okay, so let's move forward with the number properties. We have some properties we'll be talking about: epsilon, max value, max safe integer, mean safe integer, positive infinity, negative infinity, not a number. So how are these things properties of numbers? Just like a human being who have properties. Every human being has properties. We have gender property, we have skin color property, we have hair color property, we have height property, and these properties have different values. That's the same way numbers have properties. So here we have epsilon. Okay, not all number properties are explained here, but these are the properties that we are interested in. Okay, we have the epsilon. Epsilon tells us the difference between 1 and the smallest number greater than 1. You know what the difference is? Like when you subtract 1, when you subtract the number greater than 1 from 1, this is what epsilon is, the difference between 1 and the smallest number greater than 1. All right, now we have the max value. Max value tells us the maximum number in JavaScript, the largest number possible in JavaScript. Minimum number tells us the smallest number possible in JavaScript. We have what to call the safe integer. We have what to call what safe integer. What is a safe integer? Oh, let us understand what safe integers are. Okay, so yeah, we see that in JavaScript, a safe integer is an integer that can be accurately represented and manipulated without loss of precision. The concept of safe integers is important because JavaScript uses the IEEE 754 double precision floating point format for representing numbers, which can only reliably represent integers within a certain range. So the range of safe integers in JavaScript is between these values. Let's forget about what is here. Let's use the values in the parentheses. This is the safe integer number, the exact number that can be represented. This one is a negative safe integer, while this one is a positive safe integer. Highest and lowest numbers that can be represented in integer value without any error in precision or loss of precision. Okay, so why do we need safe integers? Why do we need to talk about safe integers? Okay, they said this range is derived from the limitations of the IEEE 754 double precision format, which uses 53 bits to represent the significand or mantissa, thus allowing for integer values up to 2 raised power 53 without precision loss. Checking for safe integers. JavaScript provides the number.isSafeInteger method to check if a value is a safe integer. If a value is within this particular range, see this particular range of minus this to plus this is the safe integer that can be represented without any loss in precision. Anything above or below this range will lead to a loss of precision. That's also what safe integer is talking about. Okay, so we have some things we checked here. We use a console.log method. You know, when we started with JavaScript, so we talked about console.log, how to display data in JavaScript. We said that console.log is usually used for testing purposes. So here we want to test using console.log to check if a number is an integer. Here we are testing if 10 number is safe integer 10. We want to check if 10 is a safe integer. It will return true. If we check here, this comment is telling us that this will return true, this will return true, this will return false because it is not a safe integer any longer. While this will also return false. It is not a safe integer. Integers don't have decimals. Okay, so that's it about safe integers. At least you understand that this is a range, a particular range of values that will not lose their precision. Okay, all right. So let's continue with our tutorial. So we have the minimum safe integer and maximum safe integer, and you see they told us that this is a 2 raised power 53 minus 1, while this one is minus 2 raised power 53 minus 1. All right, let's talk about the infinity. Infinity is just like in mathematics. Infinity is like till forever. Okay, that's what infinity talks about. So we have positive infinity and negative infinity. So infinity in JavaScript gives us the same impression as infinity in our real world mathematics. So let's still talk about infinity. I said in JavaScript, infinity is a numeric value that represents positive infinity. It's a special value that behaves mathematically as infinity does in mathematics. What are the properties of infinity? Positive infinity represents positive infinity in JavaScript. We have negative infinity. What is the behavior? Let's see how infinity behaves mathematically. So when you say 1 divided by 0, it will give infinite. mathematically. So this infinity it is giving you is the infinity we're talking about. Okay, it's a mathematical expression. So when you say minus 1 divided by 0, okay, remember this console.log is just for trying to help us test in our console. Okay, we have infinity plus 1 will give us infinity. It said infinity added to any finite number results in infinity. Infinity multiplied by any positive finite number remains infinity. Comparison operator. Let's see how infinity works when we are comparing things. Infinity greater than, this is 1 million, yes. Is infinity greater than 1 million? Here they said infinity is greater than any finite number. Infinity is like till forever, till ages to ages. You know, there is no finite value to infinity. Infinity is infinite. So this is a mathematical expression where the infinity value cannot be rendered. It is infinite. Infinity is infinite. Infinity does not have it. If infinity has a value, then it is no longer infinite. Infinity is a value that, okay. So um when we can use special values and functions for infinity. When you say number dot positive infinity will give you infinity, negative infinity is a constant that represents negative infinity. So when you say negative number dot negative underscore infinity will give you minus infinity. All right, so we can also use is finite to check if a value is finite. Okay, so you can say is finite infinity. Infinity is not finite, so it's going to give you a false value, a false return. Is finite minus infinity. Minus infinity is not finite. It's going to be false. Is finite 1000. 1000 is finite. That's why it is going to return true. Okay. So where can we use infinity? In what situation in programming can we use infinity? So that you understand that these theoretical aspects are very important. Before you even start building anything, you need to understand these intricate aspects of programming. Okay. Now, what are the use cases and considerations? When you want to handle overflow, you don't really know how much something is going to be. Okay, you use infinity. Infinity is useful for handling cases where calculations result in values that exceed the largest representable number in JavaScript. In algorithm design, in algorithms, infinity can be used as an initial comparison value, such as in finding the minimum or maximum in a list. Let's see an example where we use infinity to find the minimum or maximum in a list. So here we have a JavaScript code giving us two variables. Okay, remember we talked about how to declare variables in JavaScript. So here you see that this is a let used to declare a variable. This is numbers. Now this the variable you're seeing here is an array which we'll be going into very soon. Remember that if this thing was not a square bracket, if this was not a square bracket, or maybe it was this curly brace, it should have been an object. But here it is a square bracket, so this is an array containing values. Okay, these values are separated by commas. Okay, if they had strings, the strings will be double quotes. Remember all those things. Now uh, we have another variable called max. The value of our max is minus infinity, while the value of our numbers is an array of values. All right, now we have a loop. We'll still get back to loops. We'll see loop. This is a for loop. When you come over here, you're going to see our loops. When we'll be talking about loops, we'll see the for loop, the JavaScript for loop. All right, so this is a loop. What does a loop do for us? Loop goes through items and checks a particular code against each item. That's what a loop does. So what this loop is going to do for us is we say this loop let number of numbers. This loop is just calling out each. This number here is each of the numbers in numbers. Who is numbers? Numbers is this guy, this array. So let number of numbers. So for each, this thing is a for loop telling us for each number that is in this array, let us check a condition for each of them. Here we now say if the number that we have gotten is greater than max. Who is our max? Minus infinity. Max is equal to that particular number. So it will check against each of the numbers in this array. And guess what? It will check 1. 1 is greater than minus infinity. But it will, because it still has more values, it will check 2. 2 is greater than minus infinity. It will check 3. 3 is greater than minus infinity. It will check 4. 4 is greater than minus infinity. It will check 5. 5 is greater than minus infinity. But it doesn't have any other value to check. It will return that 5 actually is the maximum number in this array. So when you say console.log max, it's going to return 5 as the maximum number. So if we had 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, you check 1, check 2, check 1, check 1, check 1. Every other number here is lower than, every other number here is higher than minus infinity, but the highest is 2. It will pick 2 for us. So this particular code here will iterate through our array and look for the highest number that is greater than minus infinity. Remember that minus infinity is our max. So we're looking for any of the numbers in our array that is greater than minus infinity. Which one is the highest? Which one is the highest? Which one is the biggest amongst these? So there are so many use cases where you might be comparing a particular value against minus infinity, and this is one of it. You want to check blindly which number is the highest number here. So imagine maybe in let's say you want to check who has the highest age in, or what is the highest age so far so good, or what is the highest sales you have made, or what is the highest number in something. You can actually use this particular code to achieve that, and many more use cases. One thing is when problems present itself, you will easily know how to solve that problem if you know the right tools. That's why we're learning each of these tools. All right, so let's go over to our tutorial. We've talked about epsilon. Epsilon is the smallest floating point number greater than 1. All right, and we said epsilon is an ES6 feature. It does not work in Internet Explorer. Definitely to work in Edge, Chrome, Firefox, and other. So have the maximum value. Number.max underscore value is going to give us the maximum possible number in JavaScript. And the maximum possible number in JavaScript is this value here, 1.7976 blah, 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 times 10 raised to the power 308 is the maximum possible number in JavaScript. Okay, so let's continue with our tutorial. Number properties cannot be used on variables. Number properties belong to the JavaScript number object, and that's why we have the number method. If you check here, we have the number method. Methods can only work on objects. Okay, so these properties can only be accessed as number.max number. So you cannot just say x.max number. No, you have to say number dot. You cannot just say max number. Okay, you have to call the number. You have to say x dot max number. So using x dot max number in a where x is a variable, return undefined. So let us see. So here, can you see you have x is 6, and you have document.getElement by ID x dot max number is going to give you undefined because x is just a variable. So number properties are not to be used on variables. So the way to use it is this way. You use them as the value of your variable and not working on them as a variable. So you have to say, you have to use them as the value of your variable. Number.max number, x is number dot is a property. Is a property. You can only assign them to a variable, but you cannot use them on variables. Okay. So we said the number properties cannot be used on variables. We've talked about that. The minimum value, we've talked about that. Maximum safe number, we've talked about that. Minimum safe number, we've talked about that. So we have the positive infinity, like I told you, positive infinity and your negative infinity. Okay. So not a number. This one we've not talked about nan. So nan is a JavaScript reserved word for a number that is not a legal number. So if x is number.nan, let's see what it is going to give us. It's going to give us nan. X is nan. Okay. All right. So another thing is when trying to do arithmetic with a non-numeric string, it results in a nan. So when you say 100 divided by app, it's definitely going to give us a nan, not a number. Okay. So we also use not a number to verify if a value is actually a number or not. Okay. We can also use is nan. Is a value a number? I know we saw something like that in number methods. Okay. If a value is a number or if a value is not a number. All right. This is where our tutorial ends for today. And we'll be going over to arrays. All right. See you in our next class. Thank you.